Right, guys, welcome back to another casted series on ESOC TV. This is the. I was trying to move the camera with my WASD. I'm getting used to Total War controls, but now I'm back playing Age of Empires. This is the TakkCafe round of 8 between Mitoe and Kevin, a tournament which gives a shining light to the players not involved in the tabletop events recently, but are still amazingly talented, and we should have some very, very close games. The map is Florida. We have Kevin spawning on the northeast, playing as the Dutch in the colour red. Mitoe playing as the Japanese, shall I say, spawning to the southwest, playing in the colour teal. Currently working on a 100 food treasure, and recently Mitoe did a write-up on the ESOC forums detailing his civs he believes are the strongest on Florida, and he rates the Japan civilization as S tier, citing lots of options: the boats, sheep for your Tsushima shrine, wide map for shrining, 2 explorers as well. Just very strong. Early market is really nice to have in transition. And we have, and he was saying that he thinks that the Dutch are not necessarily in an A tier, but I think with the sheep, with the starting market for transitioning, for buying wood and transition, I think the Dutch are very strong. And in this matchup, I think it's recently gone back in the favour of Dutch. So all in all, game 1 should be very, very close. Let's actually see what else is going on. We do see Port Consulate in the base of Mitoe, looking to go for a more of a. You see he's throwing down 2 shrines now, but I'm confused. That's just regular Port Consulate. He hasn't sent his first shipment yet, and that will be probably. Is it going to be the 3 boats? Now you've got a population space, it is. So not going for Heavenly Kami, just waiting for the Port Consulate to come in, and then from that reduction in shrine prices, throwing down 2 shrines instead of probably just chucking down the 1 shrine and sending Heavenly Kami behind us. He's got the 2 shrines down. 3 fishing boats is card number 1. We will need to check in what this age-up wonder from Mitoe will be, but I still assume it would be the Tsushima Shrine. Tory Gates just doesn't feel that great versus Dutch. Dutch have access to skirmishers in the second age, can wall, play defensive, and are pretty good versus, a kind of an aggressive Ashigaru strategy coming up from the Japan player. Treasure contention here, fighting over 80 food by 2 alligators. Not the strongest treasure, but with 2 explorers, there's 2 chances to pick this up, and Mitoe does secure that treasure for himself. So far he has picked up 100 food and 80 food. If I looked at the rest of it, we do see Kevin 80 wood picked up as well. That's really nice for his transition, getting that bank down. I don't think I see anything too interesting. 40 coin as well. Probably would have been that in-base treasure for. Okay, chat, you can go now. There you go. Probably use that early coin just to reduce the amount of coin he's mined. Checking in on Kevin. Aging up 15 villagers, not going for a 14-ville age up. Has 5 sheep though, so really good scouting here from Kevin, picking up the majority of the livestock on the map. This envoy putting in the shift for the Dutch. And if we look at his scouted map, he's got everything under his vision. He can see the entire map, the resources, where the treasures are. Meanwhile, Mitoe, with 2 explorers, I mean, he's got 2 explorers, which are very nice, but most of the time these explorers have been fighting treasure guardians, having less map visibility, and Kevin taking that livestock advantage. I will just check. I want to say that is Tsushima Shrine. It is the Tsushima Shrine. Just needed to check because I completely forgot what's the underlying tile foundation underneath. I think Tory Gates is kind of more greener and has a couple of tile slabs for the opponents to scout actually which one that it is. But yes, the Tsushima Shrine makes sense. What doesn't make sense is where his starting hunt is. It looks like he's shrined that second hunt. So the starting turkeys have gone off another way, but he's also thrown down shrines on this hunt location as well. So I'm hoping that he's got more sheep than, well, he's just got the 3. Where are they? They're coming across. So 3 sheep, the 2 deers are. He's shrining the turkey hunts. Like, Mitoe, what's going on here? Are you trying to? Is he? It's as if he's. And stop training villager. God, that spam clicking is annoying. It's so annoying. He's just constantly repeating it like 20 times, and all I hear is click, 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 click. So, basically, I want to understand what Mito's plan is. He's shrined a lot of his home hunts, but versus a civ like Dutch, you don't often get out that aggressive on the map. Shrining his hunts and working his way back in the Zuta fashion, I think would be more desirable. Okay, Kevin aging up, bank coming down, villager in queue, getting for the earlier hunting dogs. Must have chopped an extra bit of wood here, or found a... did he find a wood treasure? I mean, it's quite hard to see, because all I see is Mito's clicks, so I can't really comment. But he's got the early hunting dogs here, before the 700 woods come in, so that's an extra bonus for his build. Should be able to get the third bank here. Likely would go... I'd like to say you'd go for a Rax at this point to try and get some pikes out to contest shrines, but Kevin may also go for a stable. Could also not make a military building, because you are playing versus Japan. And the envoy in the base does scout out. Does he scout out? He should scout out. Yes, he has scouted out to Shoga Shrine. Portuguese consulate as well. So he knows there is no Tory Gates aggression coming out. We have a forward Rax here from Kevin, scouted out by the Mito's Explorer. Will get thrown down here. But still behind, opening up with a standard build order of the 700 wood bank wagon. Getting steel traps as well. And pikes. He must have bought quite a bit from the... He must have bought quite a bit from the market. This is 125 wood in terms of economic investments. And also, if you're going into pikemen, you don't need too much food. And he's probably got quite a bit. Probably too many villagers on the coin as well if he's going to go for pikemen. Maybe he's just preparing himself for a skirmisher batch afterwards. And yes, we did see another purchase at the market. I'm not saying purchasing at the market is good or bad, but earlier steel traps, while training pike units as well, seems a little bit expensive before the 600 wood comes in. Oh god, I've just scouted out this copy and pasta in the chat. That's quite funny. Identify. I won't read it out. It's probably not appropriate for future use on YouTube if it does go up there, but it's quite funny to read. It's also quite funny because people are adding in their variations as well to the copy and pasta there. Anyway, 5 pikes come out, 5 skirmishers following up. I really like this kind of 5 pike, 5 skirmisher, just enough to harass. But yeah, the 8 Yumi archers is enough to push all us back. If I was playing Dutch, I think my build order would be in 700 wood, bank wagon, 8 pikes. But with your forward barracks, training 2 batches of skirmishers, so that you can contest this double batch of Yumi archers. You still have the pike presence, and even stronger versus shrines. And actually, Kevin's scouting his real densely packed shrine location is such a strong target, so you can minimize the time walking between shrines and maximize his time sieging. Mid-mount stable coming down, 3 hussars being sent as well, instead of a shipment like the 700 food, all the 700 coin, or 8 pikes. Kevin's staying H2, and I think Mitoe will know it once he goes to the middle map and scouts the stable. Not the biggest fan of 3 hussars, but what it does give Kevin, though, is that brief power spike of having 8 hussars on the field, because he can't physically train any more hussars faster, because he's only got that 1 stable at the moment. And look at this, we got Bestieros and Yumi archers underneath the barracks, but the 5 hussars is about to pop. Skirmishers over here focusing down the monk, that's gone down. Pikemen is going to stay here on the shrines because it's more important. The 3 hussars will come into the town centre, will be a bit longer to reinforce, but Mitoe, he has seen that stable backing out before the hussars hit the field. He realizes he's got no anti-cav. Here comes the double batch of ashes behind this. Where are the skirmishers from Kevin? Are they marching across? They are coming in. And if Mitoe sticks around to fight the skirmishers, he might overdo his welcome and let the hussars contact these Yumi archers. Musketeers not yet on the field, and 8 hussars are about to then move on to the archers, but there's a nice tree line to body block, and those ashes are now on the field. Really nice kind of spread formation here from Kevin, getting good surface area on the archers, continuously attacking these Yumi archers. The musketeers are still kind of in the back line. They need to funnel funnel their way to the front ranks to push back the Hussars. But you can see Kevin, he's focusing down Ashigaru after Ashigaru. Sentry is being called out, wanting to bolster that anti-cavalry force in the local vicinity. More reinforcements of Hussars coming from Kevin. Kevin, I'm sure at the moment, has he got 5 banks? I only see 4. I don't think, yeah, you can really afford 5 banks at this moment if you're going aggressive. So I think Kevin behind this can age up with the 700 coin because he is investing all this coin into units. So I like that, but we'll need to rejig his eco behind so he can make the most of that shipment. Quite common, I see Dutch players over gathering coin on the 700 coin shipment. I certainly prefer the 700 food. This has been great trades here for Kevin. He's certainly made some good value out of all his Hussars. The skirmishers have gone down. Mitoe has microed down the skirmisher ranks of Kevin so that the Ashigarus won't get picked off, so that they can protect the Yumi archers here from the cavalry line. But Mitoe is in essentially full defense mode at the moment. Look at his macro. He's essentially just spamming units to stay alive. I do see a dock has come down the side. Train some fishing boats. 3 fishing boats still present from the Age 1 shipment, but you spent export on the consulate crossbows instead of the 4 fishing boats, is it? Or it might be another 3 fishing boats from the Portuguese consulate, which I'm sure Mitoe would have preferred to increase his eco, but had to call defensive units to help protect himself. Dock play is quite nice. It is going to help him on the side. Let's see. Let's check Kevin's deck. Does he have 3 flights? No, he does not have any shipments in his deck. I think on Florida, you always guaranteed that Japan will have some sort of water presence with their consulate and their fishing boat shipments. So something for him to consider in future games. 2 fumes as well is a card that Mitoe have, but they would not do a thing versus a frigate or a 3 flight shipment. And Kevin, yeah, he aged up on that 700 coin. Is he going for Vet Huss? He's sending 5 Huss. Got the resources ready for Vet Huss, and he's going to go research it. Crucial that the stable stays up, but I think Mitoe's more interested in the barracks for the time being. Meanwhile, Pikes have done a number on all his shrines, and the fact that Kevin's got his mid-map pressure, Mitoe has to engage Kevin's main army. Meanwhile, the Pikes have just been sieging all this time for free and got such great value from those pikemen. They've been the unsung heroes so far this game. Hussars moving back though, trying to protect the skirmishers and trying to delay the fight as long as possible. Vet Hussars have only come in, but quite a few Hussars have gone down. But 5 Hussars about to hit the floor. Vet skirmishers from the automatic on the age up, very easily dealing with the clubmen and the Ashigaras. And the reinforcement Hussars from that shipment actually could be a pivotal power spike here for Kevin. I don't think there's enough Ashies here to deal with, and these guys 384 HP with strong attack. I think there's just enough cavalry here to maybe not clean up, but certainly get a good trade here. Kevin's playing this very, very well, if I may say so. Back over to Mitoe. He's still training units, but sending the 600 coin. I'm expecting him to try and age up from that 600 coin. If he doesn't age up now, I feel that he will start to get outclassed by the Dutch units and their shipments. Still training double Ashy behind this. There's a lot of wood gatherers as well. 15 on the wood. Training fishing boats one by one, but certainly having more fishing boats, having more capacity than production on the fishing line. And his monks, I think, well, top one's down. Is this one building? Yeah, it's just built a shrine. 120 shrine prop. God, needs to have more shrines. Stable being thrown down by Mitoe, looking to go for Colonial Nagi play here. Double batch of Yumi archers, so making use of that wood stock. Only slowly gathering up the coin. Mitoe's committing to age 2. He has sent Yumi archer attack already. Ashigaru is possibly available. Looks like his boys played on the standard Florida map instead of the AZUI, which so I can't tell you the exact card order, which is a bit of a shame. But I guess from Kevin, 3-vil, 700 bank, 603 Hussar, 700 coin pivot age up. 9 Raiters is the reinforcement card from Kevin, and he's actually trained 5 Raiters. I don't think he needed both the sending and the trainage of the Raiders, but I suppose with a growing skirmisher mass, Kevin wanted to feel a bit protected. And actually now he's going to scout that stable for the first time. And the Naggies, pull back, pull in your Raiders. Bit of micro here. Can Kevin do this? He's only colonial though, so it shouldn't be too bad, but these Naggies will do very, very well versus skirmishers. And even if each Naggie kills 2 skirmishers, a very worthwhile trade. Yumi's in the background would be absolutely fine taking this on. And Mitoe's military force is actually really strong at this point. Kevin's still only on the 1 racks to 1 stable. I don't see much other production at home. He went for the 5th bank in the end. I want to say he's gone for the 5th bank while he's been fortressation and not in transition. I don't think that's too greedy because that gives him experience points for more shipments. He has a shipment ready to go and population space. What will he send? Well, it must be 8 skirmishers at this point. I don't really see any other shipment he wants to send. There's the 8 skirmishers in queue. Lots of resources to complete this batch of hussars and skirmishers. And again, it's just touch and go. Forces trading quite equally. Economy is probably larger for Mitoe at this point, but won't be getting as great military trades as Kevin has. But the 5 hussars, while Ro8 is still on the field, should be really good. The skirmishers pop out just before Nagi siege it down. Hussars on the field, no Ashigara's present, and Naginata riders are not great cavalry units versus other cavalry. But actually, 29 hand attack is pretty respectable as a base stat, and yeah, he's actually really strong. But another batch of Naggies will force the cavalry back. Yumi Archer Micro picking off 2 Reuters very quickly. Nice control there from Mitoe, and Mitoe's pushing back out. Idles from Kevin. He hasn't sent 1k wood, and I don't think he's got the time and tempo to send 1k wood, but he does need more production. Either trading at the market, the barracks coming down, but ideally with this eco he needs 3 production buildings, I would suggest. Whether he goes double racked or double stable, I guess it's quite hard to tell. I think double stable here so that you can have a constant stream of hussars and Reuters while having some skirmishes. I don't think you'll eventually win the skirmisher war versus Japan, especially when Mitoe has sent Yumi attack, aged with... Oh no, it's in the 2nd age, but he can age with the Golden Pavilion. Here comes the Orchard Rickshaws, so this is tactically a slow point for Mitoe having to send this eco shipment, but Kevin, he hasn't got the forces to punish this. And as the game goes on, I think Mitoe will grow into this. Back to the water, a lack of shipments here from Kevin starting to hurt. We do have 17 fishing boats, and I did see that Mitoe was very, very good at getting in his long lines upgrade very, very early. These guys gathering coin at very fast rates. Wait, has he got his long lines upgrade? I think it's 0.5 on a... No, it's just skill nets. Yeah, just skill nets for the time being. He hasn't got his long lines. Pardon me for that one. But still, upgraded Gillnet fishing boats is still pretty strong. 17 villagers on the water as well. And given that Japan villagers, they gather berries on the land as well, so they don't actually have that strong villagers. The fishing boats are somewhat stronger in comparison. Okay, here's a fight. Naginata's snaring the skirmishers. Hussar's possibly trying to pull, but actually, the thing with Naggies, if Naggies gets onto the skirmishers, they force the fight. You cannot let Naggies touch the skirmishers, and here's a fight that Kevin doesn't really want to fight here. Just very strong military count here from Mitoe, and these tanky Naginata riders as well. The Reuters just not enough of them to deal with it, and I like how he's gone mass hussars, because these have somewhat done the trick for himself here. Skirmishers focusing down Ashigaras, and that actually went probably a little bit better for Kevin than I had feared for him. When I saw those Naggies on the skirmishers, I thought that was going to be very, very tough. Let's look at his reinforcements. 5 hussars on the way, but he's only got the 1 stable at the moment. And ideally, if he had 2 stables, he could feel quite comfortable sending cavalry combats behind. Van Broek asking for the score, not realizing there is a scoreboard. Check the scoreboard. I do see 2 big zeros. This is game number 1. But so far, I think Kevin's had Kevin's been playing very well this game, and I still feel that as the game can still continue, Mitoe will grow into even more. But it's been these guys. Well, please tell me these guys are not visiting the trading post. They look a little bit close. For that one's in the train. Oh, it's a miracle they survived. It's a miracle. Praise the Lord. 7 Ro8 shipment from Kevin though. I guess he felt under pressure there. Could he have cancelled that? I think he probably could have. But he's halfway to his next shipment. Oh, pardon me. He's already got cavalry combat. I should have seen that. I didn't see that. Apologies for that one. Looks like these players didn't play on the AZY map. Pikemen finally getting cleared up by the monks, but they've certainly put in a lot of work keeping Mitoe's shrine count down. Only 14 shrines, 170 population. Remember, these guys do not have their heavenly kami. They do have 2 Shoka shrine boosting them, but they're not that strong of shrines at the moment. Only 0.43 wood per second over a more typical value like 0. I think it's 5.5 per shrine. So it's why actually I've probably been overestimating Mitoe's growth into the game. I'm saying Mitoe will do this. He will come in. The Japan eco will scale. He's getting up to the fortress age now, aging up with the golden pavilion, and that will boost his Yumiyachi's attack. He has gone on to the Japanese consulate, been there for a while, because I've seen the club and, on the field for quite a while now, but Mitoe will just wait, get his techs in, going for Nagi now to HP first card. Such a strong card, and I think that's such a strong play here from Mitoe. But my god, that's a lot of Hussars. That is a lot of veteran Hussars, and Kevin's pushing the fight even before the upgrades come in. I don't see any infantry upgrades just yet. Yumiyachi's now being researched, but he doesn't want to fight before this comes in at the moment. Remember, Nagi HP isn't in, and he's not actually upgrading his Nagi Nautas. He's queuing up another Nagi rider, but he needs to be getting veteran Nagi. And actually, Kevin's hit a timing at the moment, and Mitoe's probably fighting at the worst possible time for this to happen. Losing his Nagis before the Nagi HP comes in. A lot of Hussars still at decent HP. Not in the greatest position. Quite a lot of heavy infantry still snaring, but you know, these guys are getting picked off by the skirmishers. These Hussars are tearing through Nagis on the left flank. Ro8's getting some decent damage, and now Yumiyachi's are basically naked. They have no front protection. The Daimyo having to basically sacrifice itself to buy even more time. Mitoe double Nagi pop behind this. Yeah, had to do. He had to make Nagis because he lost the Nagis before an upgrade could have come in. But a Nagi popped right on top of the skirmishers, but enough Ro8s. Kevin microing, yes, he's looking. He's going to retask his Ro8s. We'll lose a couple of skirmishers here, but another big batch of Hussars coming across. And yes, Kevin, he does have his double stable behind this. Yeah, 2 stables coming in, and that is his game. That is game changing. And I think Kevin in this position, all this army in Mitoe's base, Mitoe's army being cleaned up. I think Kevin's done this, and the double stable play certainly game changing there, and really, yes, there is the GG. Kevin made some great decisions that game. What a game! What a game to kick us off. And instead of giving Mitoe the game, I have to say it's gonna be Kevin 1-0 up. Well played, really well played. Yeah, so I think Kevin identified that with his 5-bank eco, he needed more production than just the 1 racks and 1 barracks. In the end, he does have 2 barracks and 2 stables, but his production from the 2 stables was the main way for him to win this. On the water, a lot of good stuff here from Mitoe. These fishing boats, though, only had their gill nets, no long lines, and long lines for 200 wood, 200 coin would give them an extra 30% on their income. And we always see how French players, they always get their steel traps. This is like getting steel traps and hunting dogs again. It's so strong for its cost. Mitoe, okay, so this is the thing. Mitoe didn't send Heavenly Kami, sent the 3 fishing boats. And in the grand scale of things, as the game goes on, you're thinking, well, 3 fishing boats out of a total population of now about 17. Was the 3 fishing boats that impactful? Could Mitoe have got away with a standard shrine boom and then transition into water? Certainly the 3 fishing boats would have paid off, and then in transition those fishing boats would be gathering food, and that could allow Mitoe 3 extra villagers onto the tree lines to gather wood. A lot of interesting dynamics with the early Japan eco, and I will admit I'm not a Japan player, and I'll leave that discussion for you guys in the chat. Yeah, villager population. Obviously, this includes the fishing boats. Only 4 villagers sent once this game from Mitoe. Probably the second time where he may have sent 4 villagers. He sent a Yumi Archer attack, but I think the Yumi Archers and that card have certainly paid off for him in the grand scheme of things. Population for military. Quite a while was looking dicey for Kevin in that early part of Fortress, but I think once the cavalry combat card came in and he'd stabilised and got away with sending that card, double production of cavalry units afterwards just severely outclassed what Mitoe had. Mitoe did have that Nagi HP card right at the death, but they were still colonial Nagis, and that Golden Pavilion could only buff one type of unit. I think it was on ranged infantry attack. Maybe having that on HP could have changed the outcome of that fight. I'm only saying could because I wouldn't know. All resources, yeah, really close. Actually, Dutch sacrificing a part of their age to, you could say, bank boom by going aggressive, but did buy quite a bit of wood for the early steel traps as well. Quite often you see players waiting to get steel traps on 600 wood, but Kevin was buying to get his pike production going, as well as steel traps early. 700 coin to get the age up in behind. And then once that 5th bank comes in about here, it looks like his eco does try and keep up, but always was falling behind for Mitoe. But Mitoe was utilising H2 units for the most part of that game, and so actually having to invest more into the military just to try and keep up with Kevin's stronger army. Right, so let's go into game number 2. Load up my recorded games. I'll see this series and this tournament sponsored by the TakkCafe. And this is the TakkCafe Cup. Yeah, I need to change that live countdown. I don't like how every time you go from one scene to another, it restarts that countdown. I might have to change that moving forward, but oh well. I probably won't need it. Game 2, we're on Deccan. Mitoe spawning in the north in the colour teal, his favourite colour, playing as the Indian civilization. Yeah, Kevin, well, he's also playing as the Indian civilization in the south of the map. This is an Indian mirror on Deccan. Straight away, looks like Kevin going for the 2 tier 1 treasures in his base with his explorers. Meanwhile, Mitoe scouting one side of the map. Oh, going for an early trading post. But I was about to say, Mitoe is going straight for the middle of the map, trying to get that yak control. And I'm liking Mitoe's early explorer usage just that little bit more. Early market coming from Kevin, looking to buy wood, I would assume, from the market. Could buy a batch of wood for a house and not be housed and age up like 11 vils, 12 vils idlers, but it might be that by the time he's trained his 10th vil, he's already up at this point. Mitoe's also go for the market, but not actually gathering his coin crates. I'm sure he'll gather them with this villager, because he doesn't need them straight away. I think both players here going for the early tier 1 food upgrade. Let's check if these guys... 0.84. Not quite just yet, I don't think. But Mitoe will have the resources to buy some wood to get that upgrade in at some point. So back to Kevin. He's scouted on the east side. The ore survey won't be too important. Yeah, this is what I was a bit worried for with Kevin. Mitoe's already got himself 6 yaks under his town centre. I was about to say 6 yaks in total, but 6 yaks are all together here underneath the town centre. That might be the majority of the yaks. I think there's probably 8 to spawn on the can. Let's look at Kevin. How many has he got? He's got 2. 1 at home and 1 making his way across this kind of raised plateau. So Mitoe certainly winning the yak war, and those yaks will provide him more experience points. Obviously, this is because he's India as well. Well, yeah, because he's getting the experience points because he's India, but it's also because Mitoe went for the early age 1 trading post here. Age in base looks like a Carney Martyr age up here. Same age up here for Kevin. Both players going for defensive Carney Martyr. This Carney Martyr should cover the gold mine, multiple trees. May have wanted to push it on this east side, so at least covers the berries as well. And if you maybe a little bit south, would cover the gold mine, berries, and a couple of these trees, but I don't think that would overly matter too much. It will provide him access to these 2 elephants, so a little bit of give and take. I'm sure Kevin would prefer to be hunting from elephants than gathering berries. But, you know, Carney Martyr, the civil servants upgrade, you know, the berry gathering from the Asian villagers isn't actually that bad, and I think is quite a lot of people certainly underappreciate it. Looking at the chat, Soldiers joined us asking what was the first matchup. Dutch versus Japan, and I think Soldier showing his pleasure that Dutch had defeated Japan on Florida. And actually, that's the thing I wanted to say. Mitoe, in his posts on ESOC, said there should be no reason why any... Okay, I might be over-paraphrasing this, but I would still for the effect. Okay, let's be more polite. Mitoe said that each of those civilizations should be favoured in any matchup which wasn't included a civilization in his S tier pick, and that was the French, the Japan, Lakota, and one other, I think the British. So, yeah, I argued for the case of Dutch on Florida, and Kevin has, thankfully, made me look like a genius, but it was actually Kevin's great gameplay which secured him the victory. And I think it was more of Kevin playing well than the matchup being in anyone's favour. Probably a balanced matchup overall. Right, both players into the second age. Mitoe moving in, not seeing a mid-map aggro, thinking what's up. Scouts a defensive Carney Martyr. What's Kevin? Well, Kevin's also seen the Carney Martyr. So both players knowing basically what is going on for the time being. Side barracks here from Kevin, opening with Gurkhas, trying to go for some sort of mid-map play like an aggro would achieve. But Mitoe, on top of his scouting game, I think a player who's has posted a few posts on ESOC detailing how to scout, and in more particular, what to scout from your opponent's civilization, has scouted this mid-map barracks and will respond accordingly by throwing down a barracks himself. And I think Kevin got his barracks out with chopped wood in transition, while Mitoe's had to get his on the 700 wood, but throwing it down close to the town centre with enough villagers so that it is up and producing units before any units from Kevin, which are already out in the field, will cross the map and will pick off the villagers building the barracks. So Mitoe realising there's a threat and doing something about it, which is always good to see. Let's check the... Is it like Alt G or something? Control G, Control G. There's something about trying to get A's mods to work, but I think this is just a base patch they can instead of actual the modded A's spec to can. Hopefully we can try and get the UI up for the non-base games, because that they're forced to play on the A's maps as a result of it not being part of the 1v1 quick search. Picking up the 50 coin treasure and base and experience points for that. Checking shipment progression so far. Looks like we've had distributism, 700 wood now into foreign login for Mitoe. Third card going to be, well, he's going for the French allies. You would have to assume it's going to be the consulate. It's going coin. Excuse me? Excuse me? What? I think I'm yeah, I will never question Mitoe's judgments, but surely with the idea of the French consulates, you send the exports so that you can send in the coin crates and then the wood crates at the same time, or coin and food, so that you can then use the crates to age up. But it looks like Mitoe's skipping the export and just going to go straight for the coin. But he does have racks and caravans, right? So it looks like he's going to try and produce units in the second age and defend. has actually scouted quite a bit here. I think he's scouted the forward consulate as well, realising that Kevin is going to be playing aggressive. And we see Hussars and Sowers out on the field. Zam's only now in queue here for Mitoe. Good building defence here. A couple sentries may actually block all chows to the Gurkhas, but these Sowers, just like the Naggies in the last game, as soon as they touch the Gurkhas, they die very, very quickly. The Elephant Explorers here, high HP for Kevin as well. Mitoe has lost his Explorers, and I think Kevin, he must have sensed the Ottoman consulate experience, and these guys are dancing around the. Oh, it's so awkward. Yeah, he's got them in. That is classic DE there, but they should be able to get in. As he's not like grouped them with the Explorer, no, because both the Explorers are alive. I don't know what's happened there, but the Elephant Explorers are still standing, and actually Kevin's walking his Gurkhas on top of the Gurkha line here for Mitoe, just to soak up as much damage and protect the cavalry units, because these are the damage dealers on the Gurkhas. The Gurkhas are basically disintegrated. Mitoe's gone through his Minutemen pop, and we have all his coins sitting on the floor. I suppose it's not all his coin, because most of it has been gathered up at this point. Mitoe must have a big batch coming on, and he's just got the 1 sepoy and the 5 sepoys from the town centre. But here come the sepoys from Kevin. Trying to siege the barracks, I guess it's just because everything else here is basically fully idled from Mitoe. So I guess there's nothing else to do. Yeah, all the villagers are just full idle. 20 vills in the town centre, and even if these sepoys get a magnificent trade, Kevin, with his full eco behind this, chugging along normally, will be very happy with how that has gone, and that has put Mitoe on the back foot for sure, especially because he went for the French consulate. The French consulate providing an economic increase for your villagers, but if your villagers are not gathering, well, guess what? There's no bonus. And also, villagers not gathering means lower amounts of exports, meaning less amount of crates from the consulate. Sepoy's going to try and go for a counter push. I wouldn't really call it counter raid. Probably too many units to be raiding with, but villagers are forward from the town centre, and actually, Kevin might see the villagers here with the Ottoman consulate line of sight bonus, actually, so he might actually get enough of these villagers back in. If it wasn't for the Ottoman consulate, I think these villagers on the front line would be dead. He actually sees it really early, so fair play to Kevin for that one. I suppose he's got a bit of spare APM capacity while he's sieging the trading line. Looks like Mitoe will deny a few houses, but if Kevin knows the sepoys are here, well, guess where his army's not? At home. I'm expecting Kevin just to turn in on Mitoe's base afterwards. Huh. Where are you guys going? Yeah, he's going into the base. Kevin going back in for seconds after causing Mitoe a lot of pain in the first time. Here comes a Mitoe special wall. Type of wall I like to use is kind of like perpendicular. It just prevents the flow of units all around the town centre, and he's got himself a nice little defensive pocket here for his 4 Gurkhas. I think Kevin's just going to siege a house while he's nearby. I don't think that will mean that Mitoe will be housed. I eat my words, it will make that he's housed. Here come the 4 sour shipment. We do see some Zams, the backline Gurkhas popping out as well. Actually, this is not looking too bad for Mitoe. As in, he's got the right types of units, but the defensive pop there, Sowers, I thought there could have been a possibility of snaring with the Sowers on top of the Gurkhas, and then the Zams and the Sepoys coming in to get onto the camel units with the town centre fire. But Kevin's in and out. He sensed the danger, and he's got away with his entire army intact. Let's look at camel upgrades. No upgrades here for Mitoe for the time being. Kevin, yeah, he's sending his first camel upgrade. Going over camel attack over the specialist camel modifier. I like that. I think that's a good choice. I wonder if Kevin will sense that he will be ahead in terms of upgrades for his units and will push in after that upgrade has come in. Mitoe's got 1 card to send, and I think if you're staying H2, yeah, you've got to upgrade those camels. They're pivotal how they're going to win. Big noise coming in. You just see donating a gift sub to Don Arty. Oh, that's kind. Don Arty does deserve a sub. So make sure you thank Mr. Big EGC TV for that one. Meanwhile, though, Kevin, well, he's not sending a shipment. He's well, he sent that camera attack, so he's got a little halfway to wait into his next one. Could this be the time for TakkCafe to come in? It does actually have quite a bit of coin gathering. 19 villages on the coin. I think Kevin's thinking of TakkCafe at the moment. Will do quite nicely versus a predominantly Gurkha-heavy army and Zambrax as well. The hand cavalry is going forward. I possibly could have done a bit more poking on the Zambrax first, but he actually, once he was involved, got some decent trades. The Sepoys are going forward in hand combat, but the Gurkhas are picking them off. Zambrax here, well protected as well, but the hand cavalry, which is basically crucial for dealing with the Gurkhas, are very low. But there's still enough, though. They're still getting like 2 kills each so far, another 3 kills each. They've killed so many Gurkhas and not been focused down. They have proved so cost-effective for that army. Kevin, okay, he's gone for the Desert Terror instead of the Tiger Claws. He nearly has the resources for them, but they will take a while to come in. Basically wants to send the Desert Terror so that he can deal with these Sours with his Zambrax much better. But here come the Sours on top of the Gurkhas. The Mitoe's army's gone, and Kevin 2-0 up against Mitoe. What is this? We got the amateur qualifier versus what some people regard as a top 4 player. Kevin 2-0 up. Poggers. God, that must sound pretty bad on the repeat if I listen to that one back. But I'm generally buzzed. I was not expecting a 2-0 Kevin. But you can see how, because he was more forward-thinking in that matchup. Ottoman Consulate. Yeah, Mitoe went for the French Consulate, Carney Martyr. It just seems to be too eco, too greedy to be true. He had the trading post advantage, but it just seemed that Kevin walked in with that time in that tempo and made full advantage of it. Yeah, look at the mid-G population. Oh wow, that's brutal. So the 10 Gurkhas there. This is the, I want to say this is the Gurkha shipment as well as another batch of infantry and maybe Ottoman Hussars at this point. I'm struggling to keep up with both players' card orders because they're playing on the base maps instead of AZY. We asked the players to play on AZY maps, and for the main part, I think most players have, but it's quite awkward to try and work out both players at the same time what's going on, and probably I need to switch between players more often. But certainly a large mass. 10 to, well, Sours is 2 pop each. That'd be 8 pop. 12 would be another batch of infantry, and then here come the was it 32? That's another 8 pop there. Yeah, Ottoman Consulate came in for the push, and they would have come in before, but yeah, Sours there as well, and probably would have got maybe like 4 Zams. So all you need to know is much more than Mitoe at that point. Look at the economy. You'll probably see how Mitoe's economy starts to reduce when he's idled from all those from all the military underneath his town centre. Villagers are just not gathering, and that can be seen in the idle villagers. So yeah, strong timing push there from Kevin. Mitoe did scout it, but still went French Consulate. Right, let's go into game number 3. TakkCafe. Mitoe versus Kevin. Game number 3. Looks like we've got our first instance of China of the series. Both these players are essentially very strong players of China. It's one of their main civilizations for both of the players as well. So Mitoe picking Chinese on Korea. Kevin, though, he's going for the Iroquois. So spawn on the right side, and he's instantly going for an Age 1 dock. Defensive dock, not going to try and go for the mid-map. Slightly more, I guess it gives you more map control, and fishing boats who train from the middle position can go left and go right, instead of all fishing boats from here having to essentially navigate the entire circular sea. So it's a bit more efficient to get your dock in the middle of the map, but is more risky. And I think Mitoe, he's a type of player who does, vary around of how he plays China. H2 China recently has received some buffs, so a rogue 7-step rider shipments could spell disaster for Kevin's fishing eco. Alright, we're on the map with the infinite wood treasures because that's what it is, and looks like Mitoe did take out one of the lions, but stuns the other one, but not going to engage it, let the lion reset itself and focus on Kevin's Explorer. Kevin's Explorer, meanwhile, is basically running away from the town centre, so he's kind of having to take this fight. He pushes Mitoe's Disciple back with only 4 HP, really nice. These two guys in H1 who wins from this position. I think the Chinese Explorer will win with the with the use of critical strikes, and it's a hand combat Explorer versus a rifle Explorer, but yeah, it will be close. I think both players would rather just get on with their own scouting, but Mitoe knows he's left a treasure with only 1 lion, and that is it's possible for Kevin to move in and pick it up with a quick crack shot, but he did use it as a special ability on that Disciple. So we've got quite a few supporters of Mitoe in the chat. Spam this O to help Mitoe. I mean, does Mitoe really need help? That's like the next question. Like, over a series, I think Mitoe will have the ability to come back into the series, but will Kevin be able to finish the job off before Mitoe? And like from this point forward, Kevin will need 2 game victories. Mitoe will still need 4, but I think most people would say a 4-2 result for Mitoe would be a fair result. But from this situation, it could be a 3-all with a game 7 decider. Mitoe is feeling under pressure. Like, I know Mitoe said he really wants to win this next global championship. He's been going on about how he's been putting a bit more time, and he really wants to compete against the best players. So I'm expecting Mitoe to be strong in the. Well, I would say I wouldn't know whether this game, we're early on in this game, but I still feel that Mitoe it's not like a done and dusted event already. There will be the Mitoe comeback, but will it be strong enough to defeat Kevin, or fast enough to pick up the games before Kevin does? God, this is just so annoying for Mitoe. He just realizes that actually he wins that trade. Kevin out of position on the other side of the map. Mitoe now going back to pick up that wood treasure. Bit of idle time here from Kevin, going for a 19-ville age up. Ideally, I think Kevin would have wanted that extra treasure to train the final fishing boat and have 5 fishing boats in the first stage, and that probably would have helped getting the idleless age up there. Chief is the age up in question here from Kevin. Mitoe with 3 villages, saving the shipments. No, he sent the shipments, but 3 villages suggests that he's got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a 4 villager shipment for Mitoe. Did he get that wood treasure? Or no, I know what happened. Okay, so looks like Mitoe was getting his treasure, anticipated the extra wood treasure, and decided to chop the remainder for the 3rd village. But when he couldn't get the treasure anymore, well, he had already chopped his way for a village, so I guess he committed to chopping for the village to get the extra villager from the first shipment. But this has slowed Mitoe down. He's thrown down this Summer Palace 410. He's aging with 4 villages on the Summer Palace. Chop in wood in transition. Mitoe still does not have a trading post at the moment. Market coming down from Mitoe. Is Mitoe skipping the trading post in its totality? Completely. I was trying to use a smart word there, but it just couldn't come out. Anyway, market here for Mitoe suggests that he's not going for a trading post, which suggests that Mitoe wants to keep this in H2. The wood treasure, though, another wood treasure for Mitoe, will give him the wood resources to get the trading post. So let's say Mitoe's wanting to get some of his techs started a little bit earlier. Which way is he going? Is he going to do it? I don't know. I'm struggling to read Mitoe's plays at the moment and how he's going to approach this, but looks like he's not. But that wood should give him the ability to chop down the War Academy. I don't think he will need a 4th village for a long time, but that should give him resources to train an old hand batch as soon as that War Academy gets completed. Let us see his options. Yes, there's the War Academy. Yeah, Mitoe wants to play as age 2. So, Mitoe could play as age 3 standard. I don't think he'd be expecting too much pressure here from Kevin playing as the Haudenosaunee while going for this water eco play in the background. So I don't think actually Kevin will be looking to train too many more fishing boats. Just the 4 will do to supplement his eco, but behind this will age up. Well, okay, I'm not going to say age up because he's just called Tomahawk, Big Button, and sent 4 Canyons. But this could be just a raiding party as he, eventually thinks of going to age up at a later point. Next shipment will give us a bit more of a clue how he wants to play this, and it's going to be the 5 villagers. I did see he was going to send 600 wood, then the all crate resources, and picking up Mitoe's Explorer in the middle of nowhere for free. 90 experience points going to Kevin. That is huge. This Explorer is just so huge in a fight for tanking damage. Like, all that time that Explorer is tanking damage, that could have been the 9 Chang pikeman shipments from Mitoe on top of the cavalry. Yes, the pikemen are coming in, but now there won't be an Explorer to tank that rogue damage. Kevin's seen a villager run into the north. He's in hot pursuit of it. He's not. Is he gonna get? Oh, he's walked out. He's walked out of the box. What's going on? He's trying to keep the villa alive, but there are ranged units here. Boxing in the villager is cute at best, but the range infantry will come and pick the day off. But has actually bought time, and Kevin's cavalry a little bit out of position there. So Mitoe picking off 2 units when realistically Kevin would have ideally had his cavalry with the army, and that would have dissuaded the Shukunu pushing in. So Mitoe loving the quick wall in, but to be able to quick wall suggests he has spare wood in the stockpile, and Kevin can read that Mitoe's staying age 2, because why would you have spare wood in the stockpile if you're going to the 3rd age? Old hand batch about to come out. Summer Power still on standard army. Maybe this is intentional. Maybe Mitoe forgot to change it. I think having Old Hand from the Summer Palace, but then even training standard armies could work in this case because it's a food and coin based army. Warhurt's gone down at the moment. Kevin just needs to run, I think. I don't think he really wants to engage this for the time being. Looking at Kevin's plan, sending 600 wood behind this. Does have the stable, so we could go into a full batch of Canyons on that 600 wood shipment. Ideally needs a fishing boat just to hop in, but that obviously a fishing boat is at risk of getting, sieged down from rage. And Mitoe's traps Kevin on the coastline. This is not great. I think Kevin's going to say goodbye to his infantry army and get the cavalry out of the way. Don't engage the pikemen, just go. Just run, just go. It was an honour knowing you guys. You've put in a service to Kevin, but yeah, that's actually pretty brutal. Cav managed to escape and get out of this one. I'm expecting their war hut to be replaced in base. But does Kevin now think that he's lost that initial push in Age 2? Can he really contest an Age 2 war now versus Mitoe? Mitoe's just been spamming unit shipments. Yeah, it's just the... I think the strongest way for Chad to beat in Age 2 is just spam the unit shipments one after the other, which just, it feels like it shouldn't. And you wouldn't necessarily do that with other civs, but because of the whole batch training and how expensive it is to get the train and how slow the units train, sending units are just so much better. Mitoe is thinking, I've been snared, but I don't care. I want to find that war hut. And he chases it down, and that war hut is gone down. It's so close as well. That war hut could have been thrown down earlier. Mitoe's entire army underneath Kevin's base. 600 wood was sent. It wasn't all resources, so there's no sneaky age up on the side. Options for Kevin at the moment, running low. He is in trouble at the moment. This is the moment I'd say, that Ralph Wiggum meme, I'm in trouble. Canyons on top of a 2 canoe mass is quite nice, but there's enough pikemen nearby. They're too busy sieging the stable though, so these Canyons getting a decent trade. But the step mass in the back line there from the Summer Palace and the standard army batch as well, plus the 7 from the shipment, just enough to overpower that local mass of 5 Canyons. 2 Canyons get away from the pikemen, but it's just still enough stuff from Mitoe. So yeah, Mitoe's build was just basically lots of villages, sends you unit shipments, and go for it. That warhawk does get up though, so that's really nice for Kevin. Villagers are going to go on the trees, but if they don't get in, they'll be going into the afterlife very, very quickly. But Mitoe is thinking villagers, that's one thing. Step riders on Aenas, that's definitely more my thing. And step riders with multipliers versus Aenas will quickly cut his units down. Kevin's got resources for Aenas training batch of Tomahawks. Has he got a shipment of Tomahawks available? Yeah, he can send 6 Tomahawks, but doesn't have any wood now for cannons. He rebuilt the crown the back, but yeah, having to... Yeah, at the end there, Kevin spent 650 resources. No, 700. Yeah, 700 resources into buildings really instead of units, and Kevin could never get those units back out onto the field. While Mitoe, after picking up that Aero army in the middle of the map earlier on, just pushes advantage, sending unit shipment after each other. I think he aged up late though, given that kind of free village play and having to chop for that 3rd village in age 1. So, kind of surprised how Mitoe was, even though he aged up later, still had that momentum to push onwards. But I suppose, XP always gathers. You just send us unit shipments later, but once on the field, then they can work for you. But yeah, really nice. Really nice kind of playstyle. I really liked how Mitoe was aware that the war hut was being built, and that was his priority. Once that war hut went down, I think Kevin was really in huge amounts of trouble at that moment. If the war hut went up, units would have been trained, Tomahawks could have been shipped, and there could have been a stand in Kevin's base. There was a little bit of eco on the side, but just 4 fishing boats and upgrades, just isn't enough compared to market on top of all these Chinese villas, the Chinese summer palace coming behind. No concert from Mitoe, only now being dropped behind this. I'm sure these guys did have their... They didn't have their hunting dogs, doesn't look like. Right, let's move on to the next game. Actually, I'm going to take a very quick comfort break. I was at the gym recently, come home, but since then I've had next a protein shake and yar. Right, I am back. Looking at the chat, Keister saying I look like Kelly Two Cheeks. I don't really know what's trying to incentivize there. It's like an Asian with fat cheeks. I don't know. That's Bit of a weird emote, but I guess Kai's loving his subscription to those just chatting streamers, as you'd politely call them. Maybe that is Keister's go-to entertainment source. I mean, after that game, I think that Mitoe's nerves would be a bit more settled. The first 2 games for him when he was 2-0 down. If he lost that 3rd game and faced him 3-0 down, I think Mitoe would be just like, would just not be fully focused on that final game. He'd probably be too busy, retracing his steps where he went wrong in the previous games, and Kevin would be riding on that wave of high emotions after defeating Mitoe 3 times. Should then be, good spots to finish the deal and take the 4th game. But Mitoe, picking up that game there, we always say that games are important to kind of win to get yourself back into the scene. I think Mitoe should be in a strong place as we go into game number 4. Let's do it. Oh, goody. We are here on Fraser River. Kevin playing as the Lakota, spawning into the north of the map in the colour red. Mitoe playing as the French civilization. He'll be spawning into the southwest in his favourite colour, teal, as usual, of course. Herden in his hunt already, very nice. What's he going to do with his resources? Is he going to go for the Age 1 trading post? I think he probably will, as French players always do these days. But it does see the 80 coin. Could this be a tactical drop a market first, mine a little bit more coin, get this 20 coin muscat treasure in base, and then buy the wood again? So you do have that trading post, and then you have a just market essentially for free from it. Or is he just going to go for the trading post and then shop for the house and skip the wood purchase? I'm just not even gonna enter the chat. Some weird stuff going on there. Classical ESOC Twitch chats stuff. Back to the game though. What's Kevin up to? Kevin scouted. Has he scouted that 95 wood? Would he leave it? No, he hasn't. He scouted 40 wood, and suppose you can kind of assume that there wouldn't be a treasure here really, but he's got unlucky and missed a 95 wood treasure. Scouts another 40 wood, so 2 40 woods and a 95 wood. A nice little treasure set for Kevin to get if he goes back for it. Maybe there was a treasure he's already picked up on his side of the map, but just waiting for that critical strike ability to recharge. Let's see what treasure that may have been. Militiamen have been levied in Mitoe Town. Okay, I don't think that's technically true. Thank you, DE. Does it matter what side? Okay, Kevin's picked up. What was it? 90 food worth of terrapins. God, it's so annoying that there's the chat has all the train, the CDB spamming going on as well. It's quite hard to see what's going on, but yeah, just some food treasures for the time being for either player. Nothing too significant in the grand scheme of things. But Kevin, with his fast explorer, though, scouting quite a lot of the map already. Not seeing any treasures on Mitoe's side. Most of the map spawns usually have the treasures spawning below the trading line. And in this case, actually, quite a large number of treasures did spawn also down here below the trading line. But you would expect them to be up here on this top side. Alright, Mitoe's gone north. Kevin should have a rough idea where Mitoe is as well. So it should be no surprise when he goes up to the top side that he will see this explorer thinking, okay, you're on my side. Now, Mitoe has now scouted the Cheyenne settlement, which has now revealed the line of sight on this treasure on the top side. So I don't really know how that hasn't been scouted for Kevin. He should be able to scout it now. He sees it now. You can tell how that is because it's illuminated. So he realized 95 wood treasure is available. He might not have the strike ability ready to go, but he will certainly be watching Mitoe in case he does want to go for that treasure. Right, I'm confused now because we are playing the map with an AZY, but it's not showing. Casters don't need to download any mods for it. It should show for any time you use it, so I'm a bit confused why it's not coming up. I wonder why that is and how we can change that. Maybe shipments. Yeah, 3 Vills shipments, first card here for Mitoe. has to be standard. He's dropping a market in the forward position on the valley. This is just for line of sight for any cavalry crossing this middle portion of the map. We'll see cavalry going on this top side. We'll see cavalry coming down onto this ramp here. So Mitoe should have some good knowledge on where Kevin's forces are in the colonial age if he goes for it. And Mitoe's going to get this treasure going, crack shot the grizzly bear. Realises it's a high value treasure, not going to mess around with kiting it and being cute with it, just wants to take it on and secure the wood for himself because he knows that Kevin, who's actually nearby building a trading post, Kevin realised that the treasure right next to him has been taken. This is classic AoE stuff. Maybe he is, but he doesn't want to go in and like crack shot. He wants to go in and steal it as the bear goes down. He's going for it, but he's too late, and Mitoe takes it. I don't think prioritising that trading post there was the 100% correct move there. But Mitoe's Explorer is pinned down. He will get some extra HP on the age up, but Kevin's Explorer will also get stronger at the same time once he ages up.
Votre ordre? Oui, bonjour. Oui, bonjour, votre ordre? Oui.
Is it because maybe I've got the A's actual UI gameplay, so when you have an idle village, you have that red banner? That might be it. I'll see if it's to turn it off for next game to see if that makes an improvement. I'm just contemplating, just thinking about life in general, and thinking about why A's magical UI is not showing up for the time being. But it's okay though. I should be able to guide you through the game well enough. 5 settlers is the second card here from Kevin after sending 4 settlers in his age 1. 3 unit shipment and dogs as well, double upgrades here, and double coin crates. It has this cheeky suggestion of double stable bow riders, but we do see it's stable and a war hut on the southern plateau area here from Kevin. Actually quite far away from the town centre, and then in the early parts of the game, this is where the French eco is. So I understand he wants to try and put pressure on the trading line, but really it's still quite a long rush distance from Kevin's forward base into Mitoe's actual home base, and Mitoe's doing a good job, or this is just natural herding, but he's herded in. This is his 3rd hunt herded in from this position. This is Mitoe's 4th hunt naturally walking in, which is spawned from kind of this area. So the herds are actually favouring Mitoe today, it looks like, and with 4 hunts on his plateau and 2 mines, Mitoe does not need to leave his plateau anytime soon. I think Mitoe realises that if he actually steps off the plateau, he's in risk. And actually here's 5 musks, but 5 bow riders should be able to get a decent trade. They'll see they fire twice as fast as musketeers, so there's 1 musketeer going down. He might pull back, musketeer's been damaged. They have a little bit of resist versus musketeers in hand combat. Wants to pull his bow rider away, but will pick up a positive trait here of musketeers. And I don't think Mitoe would mind too much because most musketeers are pretty cheap in comparison to Kevin's bow riders, but he ideally wanted to keep them back for when that second batch of musks arrived. There's a CDB out of position as well, but I suppose bow riders here can't really do too much because of that 40% range resist, but they don't have that negative multiplier though, so the raid is possible. More bow riders being produced here from Kevin on the right hand side. His next shipment was 700 wood, so that will kick off his infantry production here from the war hut, but a lot of spare wood, it has to be said, will be left over from that. So those units only trickle in very gently. I think most of his eco would be on the food and coin, so trying to go for like a infantry and bow rider spam over a set time. I'm hoping this is military units from Kevin because he needs that tempo at this moment. He's going for the 4 axe riders, so yes, he's training clubs, sending 4 axe riders, and going to train the bow riders, letting the bow riders deal with the musketeers, and the clubs. I guess you can say the clubs could deal with the crossbows, having fast Rodolero style infantry, cutting down those like cheap archer units with very poor hand attack. 5 movement speed and 11 damage is pretty decent. Eight bows being sent from Mitoe. Kevin's not actually formed up. He's probably not with his units. Yeah, there he's dragged towards units and got away, and actually dodges some of the crossbow bolts, I think, with the pull trick. I think that's actually possible with a pull trick. Without a pull trick, though, those crossbows should hit 100%. So unintentional genius there from Kevin. but it does have the 4-axe riders and some more bow riders. But Mitoe knows the game. He knows he's got to hang on, play defensive. Kevin's been pretty aggressive so far in this matchup. You check his deck and realize there's no great hunter available for Kevin, and double coin shipment also kind of reveals an indication of being aggressive in the second age. Not often Lacosta players like sending 700 coin or 600 coin unless they're massing essentially bow riders. But Musketeer and crossbows just pulling the CDBs with greatcoats as well. I don't know how Kevin deals with this, to be honest, and that's the honest truth. I remember those days back where the classic strat for the French player in this matchup was to mass musketeers, research greatcoats, send pioneers, and right-click your opponent's base. May leave like 7 CDBs at home, just hunting to produce more CDBs, but have the remainder of your villagers just going after the Sioux and just being very tanky with their HP or their range resist as well, and just basically just being annoying. And bow riders don't really do that well versus CDB. I don't think we'll see a villager pull this game. Might have still got lots of resources in his base and a very strong mass of crossbows and musketeers. Will any of these units get trapped to the trading post? Looks like they're behaving very well. I always get very, very anxious when I see crossbows going one way and crossbows going the other way to reform on the other side, but it looks like they've successfully navigated a piece of ground. So well done to the French army here, crossing the river. It must be pretty cold where they are, but I don't think that will affect their combat abilities. The Lakota army's got to come in behind. Oh, there is a CDB pool! Holy shit, I haven't seen this in ages. Hands up, I haven't checked Mitoe's deck. I haven't checked his deck, but he's sending pioneers. You just get a sense of what's going on sometimes, but he's even got the Wilderness Warfare card. Generally, I haven't like pre-watched or it's just a famous strat that Lakota can't do a thing versus this. Bow Rider spamming will not do anything. Setons and Axe Riders could cut their way through, but Bow Riders they won't. Because the Bow Riders will kill the units, but they just don't kill it in a cost-effective way, and there's just so much effective HP here in this infantry mass. The CDBs with 4.5 speed, they have their blunderbuss, so 16 range attack as well, 13 in the hand combat, but most importantly, just tanking lots and lots of damage here. A lot of Setons though, so quite a lot of fast-firing archers, 1.5 fire rate. Crossbows only have the 3 fire rate, so should be able to get some decent trades here, the Setons. Same ranges as the crossbows, and actually it's just much stronger units in comparison, realistically, if they stand and fire. Same HP, but basically twice the effective attack from the Seton Riders. The Explorer goes in front line, but the crossbows are just melting the Bow Riders. This is just not what Kevin needed. He needed the Seton's front line tanking, with the Bow Riders doing some damage from behind. And at the moment, Kevin's army has shrunk quite a bit, but Mitoe still looks like a big blob of teal on the screen. But yeah, you can't go Axe because there's Musks, you can't go Bow Riders because there's crossbows, and you can't do other stuff because there's CDBs. Mitoe gathering the coin mine, gathering the woods. He realizes his infantry is enough to deal with this mainly, and just going to gather up some eco behind. Walk up on the villagers, but the army is the priority, and that's the thing. The villagers tank, but the priority for Kevin is to deal with the military. Once the military done, then you can raid the villagers. But all this damage with the 40% range resist is just essentially not doing anything. Mitoe doesn't need to train many more units behind this. He's already got his army, and Burrow's just been focused down one by one. I think Kevin's mentally waved the white flag, and he's actually waved the actual white flag and called it GG there. And damn, Mitoe 2-2 with a bit of cheese. Bit of cheese. I haven't seen a CDB pull in DE yet, I don't think. I generally haven't. So, I mean, like in the full DE times, I don't think I've actually seen a Musketeer plus CDB pull in a French Lakota matchup. Usually, it's kind of gone back the more standard way, but maybe that is because now Lakota on this current patch, they don't have access to that Age 1 trading post, and so what Kevin did felt that little bit slower, and Mitoe could capitalize. Nice. Let's look at the military, I think, on this one. Military population. Plump. Goes down quite significantly there for Kevin. In the early parts of that trade, I think Kevin wasn't doing too bad. The Setons were in the front line, trading evenly with the crossbows. But once the crossbows got onto the bow riders, each of those bow riders 2 population, and crossbows with more range than the bow rider and multipliers versus units with no range resist, those bow riders going down. But a lot of this fighting was just going into the CDBs, just tanking all that damage with their great coats and their pioneers upgrade. Villager population, Mitoe went from 29 villas down to 21, so he lost 8 CDB. But also he's in Kevin's base as well, and Kevin was losing villagers. Or if he wasn't losing villagers, they're all idled in his town centre anyway. So essentially, Kevin's got no eco. Mitoe's got like 5 vil eco. Did he leave many behind? He's got 4. Yeah, he's just got 4 behind. So no eco versus 4 CDBs. Mitoe still has the better eco, but he's also a much more effective fighting force. And yeah, the game does say that CDB act as a pseudo infantry role if you want to pull him into your army. I remember reading that in the vanilla handbook. So yeah, Mitoe 360 HP there with the 35% great coats and the 65% pioneers. Beefy tanky boys there doing one over the Lakota civilization. Let's give Mitoe his 2 points. I've been very slack on that. My apologies, Mitoe. You deserve your 2 all. I should have done that after the first one. Is there nuke on that map? I didn't check, but nuke could... I think nuke could do... There's the Cheyenne, there's the Cree, there's 3 natives which spawn on the map, but only 1 spawn each time. So it's a bit of you wouldn't want to put your strategy on it, but it might be Nootka as the other spawn. But I think I saw a lot of TPs instead of those like kind of like more metallic buildings like you'd see the Nootka Maya settlements. I think it was either Cheyenne or Cree there. So no, Nootka were not present on that game, but yes, Nootka with their club bark. A tactical option there for Mitoe if he wanted it, if that option was available to him, but it wasn't. Right, back to real world. Mitoe, Kevin, go to the parent folder. I'm on single player recorded games. Here we go, Mitoe. I need to delete some of these stuff. Once I don't need it, I just need to delete it. Yeah, delete the USA and past 20 Rex. Kevin 4, 5, 5, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Time for game number 5. We see Kevin spawning as the Chinese. Mitoe now playing as the Dutch. So, Kevin's already gone through his Dutch pick. Mitoe's already gone through his Chinese pick here. But Kevin now pulling out the main squeeze, playing as China on Kamchatka. And he'll be spawning in the southeast in the coloured red. Mitoe is still playing as teal, and his position will be starting in the northeast, chopping a little bit of coin, suggesting 15 vil age up here, which I guess is alright. But he does get to the middle map first, gets 2 goats, does scout an 80 wood treasure as well. Kevin going for the mid-map trading post. I'm not too sure if it's because if he went for the at-home trading post, he would miss the pass, but I think where this rickshaw is walking, by the time that rickshaw completes its pass, this train post could be built down here by then, and Kevin would get that experience points earlier. So Kevin going for some mid-map control versus a Civ, which doesn't often go for mid-map. I'm not too sure I like the mid-map trading post here, but it could also allow Kevin to go for a second one in transition. Who knows? Let's see how that plans out. But 5 goats so far from Kevin, though. The Disciple exploration and the Freitag the Pet Macaque exploration has been very strong. I think Kevin was able to get the 2 goats down here. Yes, he did. So there's 2 from that to pick up and then 3 from the side. But this Freitag is doing very well for himself, scouting out. There's always a treasure here, and there's usually goats to go with it as well. So you see the 40 wood and the treasure. You see him tying down to pick up that goat, and the goats are very strong for China. Look at this, 5 goats on top of a village already. I mean, he already starts with 1 goat as well, so he's only found 5 on the map. One of these goats is a little bit more fatter than the other. Let's try and find it. No, it wouldn't, because they all spawn at 50 food. I'm going crazy. But has Kevin seen that wood treasure? Not yet, but he's going down that area afterwards, and I think he'd be very happy to see that wood treasure. His Freitag is nearby. Doesn't need the Disciple to fight it. Would probably rather have Freitag, because this guy does 18 hand attack per swing, because it's a Treasure Guardian with a 3 multiplier. And actually, Mitoe's just saying, I don't need either of them. I'm going straight for this treasure. This is a high priority treasure. I want this fast. The Envoy's going to come in. Is he going to punch Mitoe on the side? I think he will. Yeah, just try and make the most of every opportunity. But he's actually going to back out already. I think he knows this Tiger's going to go at him very, very quickly. And he's got other stuff he wants to crack on with. Yeah, this is just the awkward part of 15 Vils. He's aging up 15 Vil, about to get all the food for it. He's got 137 coin in the bank because he's found all his coin treasures. I suppose he didn't scout that coin treasure late on, and that will give him his first villager already. But he also got that 80 wood treasure as well. Now gathering that with that cord of wood. He should get his bank up quite early in this transition, but still later than it would be if he went for a 14 Vil age up agenda. And I know what you're saying, I'm keep cracking on with my 14 Vil agenda, but I genuinely think it's a very strong build, especially when you have live-socks on the map. We had that pet Freitag to help with the treasure contention with a stronger melee attack. I think there's an option on Kamchatka for the 14 Vil age up. Kevin picking up another wood treasure here. I think Kevin should nearly have the resources to go for another trading post. I mean, at this point, I think he may want to chop to go for a second village just in case Dutch put on any pressure. But it looks like he wants to go for a Fortress Age play. That village is nice and tucked up defensively, so there's no risk of losing it to Dutch. But I don't think Dutch have any plans of being aggressive on this map and on this matchup, which is a bit of an interesting discussion point because I don't actually know who is the favoured in this matchup. If both players kind of sit back and say, hey, you want a fast industrial? Hey, I'm going to go fast fortress with 5 banks. I think both sides enjoy doing their own build and letting each other do their own main build. And I always find that China, they do get a strong army in the 3rd age. But with all these goats as well, Kevin may be tempted to go for a fast industrial play. Let's check his deck. 1v1 age 2. Is he going to age 2? Or is he going to stay fighting age 2? Where's this Phil going? Is this going mid-map? I'm getting surprised every time I cast a game of Age of Empires. There's always new things to be on the lookout. And that's the thing. I'm saying, like, hey, I expect Kevin to do this, and I expect Mitoe to do this. But I don't expect Kevin to do this. And that's what might catch Mitoe out as well, realistically. Dropping another bank, probably sending 700 wood, first card, playing standard Dutch. I think Dutch can gather the wood, drop down a defensive barracks before any aggression hits. But Mitoe wants to be on this quick. He wants, about 2 or 3 on this. A little bit of idle time there, because he's anticipating the 2 banks will now get all his coin required for his villager production here, but it shouldn't be too bad. Looking to go for the 3rd for another bank. Opening stable here. Explorer does get picked up by the Explorer. What does Mitoe see? Does he see the mid-map? He sees the mid-map stable once again. Mitoe's scouting is just on another level. I think he's probably got the best scouting and the best map awareness. But I find it interesting how he's opened stable here instead of opening up barracks. You only get to produce 1 unit from the stable, and that is the Hussar. Whereas Kevin would be going, okay, you've opened up the stable. I will open up with pikemen then. I will send my pike shipment. He's gone for step riders because he knows that stable not yet constructed. It will take time for that to be completed. In the meantime, he can raid with the step riders, but then he's going to send the pikemen to protect these units once the Hussars pop out. It's all calculated stuff here from Kevin. The War Academy has been trained. Old hand in production for more pikemen. Could have gone for the anti-cavalry army first, the Ming army. Minutemen come out though. Double multipliers versus these step riders. These guys need to get out here fast because they are classed as siege troopers. But the Minutemen, I think they're hoping more, but Kevin needs to keep pulling. He needs to keep getting out there. Is he going in? He thinks he can get a good trade here, but Minutemen still get that multiply in hand combat, and actually the hand combat bypasses the range resist and fires twice as fast. So versus cavalry units, Minutemen wants to be in hand combat. And that's assuming that they're constantly attacking though, so often you still want to be in that range combat, so you keep away from the hand cavalry, but you know, if hand cav attack you, then just put them in melee and go for it. Chukanu going a bit too forward. Hussar's picking it up. The pikeman behind will clean the Minutemen. That should give enough time for Mitoe to do his own things. And versus pikeman and H2 aggression, I wouldn't be too surprised to see some sort of colonial militia play. Adjusting his deck. 1v1 industrial, no CM. I would not recommend any game as a Dutch with no colonial militia in your deck, because it's just too safe. It's too risky if you need it and you don't have it. Meanwhile, he's got 14 skirmishers and 17 routers. Even if you go for fast industrial, you always send the factories first, then maybe the heavy cannons. Yeah, you don't often get to the 14 skirmisher card. I like the 17 routers. I do like that card, but no CM here. I don't think he needs to go like full on CM, because you know Kevin's gone in without the support of his Chukanus, and you know, in that last game where Mitoe was playing China versus Kevin's Haudenosaunee, he kind of waited to build some sort of mass up first before going in and catching the army. Whereas Kevin gone in with low numbers. The step prize has basically already been damaged by the Minutemen. The pikemen were picked up by the Hussars in some capability, and then the town centre fire. The Chukanus were overextended, got picked up by the Hussars for free. And here comes a standard army batch of Chukanu 2 steps, but no pikemen. Is this new standard China theory of leaving your summer palace on the standard army? Do these train much faster? Do you get more villagers that can cost benefits? If the answer to that is no, I don't see why standard army from the summer palace is preferential to Old Han, given that Old Han cost wood and quite a bit of it. Okay, Kevin's aging behind this, that makes sense. And actually, it shouldn't be too bad, because Kevin does have his somewhat near fastened up goats. Doesn't want to lose his mid-map village though, because that's his only real spare housing. And he's got no market to sell for the coin. He's frantically building a market to sell a bit of food. You can still train villagers at this point, because he can train villagers as you're aging, and we've got all this food. It is available, so I'm sure you'll sell 2 clicks, get 1 villain queue, and then age it behind this. But it's up to see how Mitoe will make the most of this opportunity he's got. Guru2282, is this live or recorded? My man, this is indeed live. Don't tell him. So I wonder what Mitoe's doing right now, this very second, all the way from Canada. He's sending some pikemen. Did he send the pikeman shipment? I think he must have sent that pikeman shipment. Let's have a little check. Yeah, he did go for the pikes there. Wild train skirmishers behind on the racks. So, yeah, just like how Kevin stayed age 2 when he was playing versus Mitoe's Japan. Mitoe's also stayed age 2, opened up the Hussars, but now added the barracks in behind to round out his composition. I think Mitoe still thinks, or when he was dropping the barracks was thinking that Kevin was still staying in the second age. But he will know now that he's not engaging, he's not fighting, and he should be aging up behind this. Picking up a water academy and a village, and forcing out the time to build the walls when the walls, it's not a full completed wall, and even if it was, it'd be quite quick for the pikemen to siege through. Yeah, I think they siege through one segment over here. It's quite awkward. Kevin's having to drop some more villages to get the population. He will get skirmishers from the Confucian Academy. Going Russian consulate here. Is he going to go for the Siberian Cossacks? But this is awkward. No anti-cavalry protection here. And the Hussars are just on the Z move all over Kevin's eco and army. Pikemen chasing in. Hussar pikes are a very strong combo. The skirmishers behind, not necessarily needed here, but always a welcome addition to any Dutch army. The Hussars are on top of the arquebusiers and colonial Chukanus. The sentries, they are getting some value, but it's just not enough. Russian consulates, Siberian contacts are being called at the moment. They are veteran status, so veteran plus 10% HP in attack due to the consulate bonus. But his agent bonus to the skirmishers have gone. His villagers are idled. His livestock still not yet eaten. And it's always a shame to see livestock not being eaten in a game. They're there to be eaten. And if they're not eaten, well... I know Kevin was trying to save them to eat them now when they're fat to get that 4th stage production, but Mitoe just... Once he won that initial engagement in his base and just trained units, he just basically right-clicked across the map, and Kevin, he aged up with units. Just there wasn't enough protection for those units. Maybe some Mitoe walls in Kevin's base here could have done the job. I love how his home city looks so amazing, and it's just like a painting in the background, and just no like depth of the the only depth you're led to believe is that the river gets narrower as it goes off, but it's also somehow climbing this massive hill when it's from the foreground it shouldn't. I was meant to check Mitoe's deck, the 1v1 industrial, no CM. Another player with 3 hussars, but no 700 food in the deck. I think the 700 food is more important than the 700 coin, because he went for the industrial option. I think he assumed, right, I'm going to go 700, bank, 600, then age up, not really needing either the coin or the food, so from his point of view, didn't matter, and that's why he's only got the 9 cards in the age tree, because he's stacked his 4th age with 6 cards there. But almost, I think... well, I think, yeah, he just outplayed Kevin that game with the early unit control as well. But if Kevin massed up a little bit more, no CM could have really hurt Mitoe that game. The 1v1 H2, the agenda was always there. He has his new army card, but I just don't think that really offers much for China. I don't think they'd really want to be sending it as well, because Chu Canute, they do so much damage in the 2nd age. That's okay. We'll move on to the next game. Mitoe, he's up to 3 versus 2. He's in the lead, and Mitoe's now on match point. It's up to Lucas to make the comeback, and that is the correct score, isn't it? Because Mitoe won China on Korea. He's won French on the Fraser River. He's now won as the Dutch on Kamchatka. Let me just see if I've worked out a bit of DE theory mods. Let's turn off legacy UI tweaks. I mean, they're all off anyway. I don't think if I had the mods on anyway, it really makes a difference. But let's just leave them on for the sake of it. Who knows? I could have been wrong all this time. Let's go for game number 6. Welcome back, guys. 6th game here. We're on ESOC's Nepal, or shall I say, now we're out of the EP realm of the old game. I guess it's now the official name is Vividly Plains Nepal, or Nepal. Chances are I'm going to switch between the pronunciations throughout the game, and now that I said Nepal, it sounds a lot better. So I think I'll try and stay with that one. Don't you love this? A 40 wooden base and a 75 wooden base. All. Oh, he doesn't scout it. Lol. That's quite funny, actually. That's so like. If you scout, you see how the Warthog's gone one side. You scout these food treasures. The Explorer's gone the other side, thinking, "Oh, these treasures are no good." But he's within the circle of his base. He's got his 2 fantastic treasures to work on. It's okay, he can get the wood treasures in transition, but he won't get that extra line of sight until he's in the 2nd age, and by then, I think he would have wanted to have the wood by then. The cassette's saying everything is Kaiser's fault. I wouldn't know what you guys are cracking on about, but yes, probably everything is Kaiser's fault. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm just going to give you some moral support on a subject I don't know what you're talking about. To be fair, I probably shouldn't say that, even though I'm just messing around and joking. Like, someone's going to clip that and go, "Oh my god, ESOC bias cast is at it again, writing stories." Who knew that they put Kaiser and Turk in the same group? ESOC Ro8 is at it again. But all the groups for the Global Championships are done on seeding in a full and transparent way. And yes, that should be fun. But this is not Global Championship. This is the ESOC TakkCafe, a pre-tournament for the Global Championships, giving tournament experience for players not yet involved with the table topper show matches run by EGC TV in the recent weeks. And two of those players are Mitoe and Kevin. Kevin deputising for Migo 1999 after he declines the invitation to the TakkCafe Cup. But so far, Kevin's put on a great show for us into Game 6. 2-3 down versus Mitoe, looking to level the Series 3 all and see if he can then take the final game to win the Series 4-3, or at least just force the decider. I think Kevin will be very happy if he can take this to the 7th game versus Mitoe. And yes, so far we've seen some good Age of Empires played from Kevin. I did see the wood treasures though in the end, which is quite nice. So I feel at least a little bit better for Kevin that he's found his 2 wood treasures in his base. He's probably thinking, wow, I've scouted the entire map, but all along, I should have been at home. Spanish here, going for the house, age 1. Let's check his deck, see if anything interesting is going on. 1v1 deck, no infinite 300 wood or coin. Not expecting any lotissician play for this game. Then again, versus Germany, I think this is a very, very favoured matchup here for the Spanish. Rodolero spam is pretty difficult for the Germans to deal with. Just kind of, if Spain can get away with Spanish goals, double racks, 1k wood into full skirmisher Rodolero, I think it is tough for the Germans to deal with, because their main play is Uhlans, that's their civilization bonus. But Rodolero's hand infantry, fast, mobile, squeeze through tight army formations, 40% range resist, 40% melee resist, just that perfect unit to deal with Germany. Loving the defensive nature of Mitoe's base. This has got the potential of an Age of Empires 2 full wall in your base by this moment already. You could even wall this. Could wall for the Koi miner, just a single wall here, wall piece down here, small wall, and then go 3 settler wagon, 2 settler wagon, silversmith. You probably go 3 settler wagon, 2 settler wagon, 700 wood if you can get away with the wall in and play it that way. He's got 1v1 Spain, and the Spain adaptations here are the inclusion of the Doppelsonders and the hand infantry combat, which I'm very glad. I'm very happy to see that Mitoe has given this matchup a little bit of thought and gone for a very altered deck, even including hand infantry HP in the second stage over all cavalry attack. Xerxes is saying, anyone suddenly feeling like going to a coffee shop? Not me, because I'm here casting Age of Empires where I want to be. But I would love to have a coffee, and I'd also love to go to a cafe in the near future that has access to the products available from the TakkCafe, the sponsors of this tournament. Check in for more details by typing in !Tack, offering logistical services, analytical services, and just genuinely being a helping hand for cafe owners to run their business more smartly, more efficiently, and more better. And one of the options that TakkCafe give your customers is that you can essentially have an app or on a tablet, so that customers can order and pay for coffees there and then, instead of having to wait for a cashier to do all the kind of cash handling. And that gives your baristas more time to actually make the coffee and put more love and attention into it. So there's positives for the customers, positives for the owners, and decent product, decent idea, and very gladly having them sponsor this tournament. Certainly give it a shout out. If you know your mates who own coffee shops, point them towards the product. If they're a small independent, then they'll certainly reap benefits from the helpful tools that the TakkCafe offer its customers and clients. So, back to the game. Looking at Kevin's position, he's going for a standard FS, 700 coins, 700 wood. Not quite got the food to age up here. A little bit late in the age up. Quite often you see players clicking up to the fortress stage by about 5:40, but here's a 5:55 age up here for Kevin, maybe about 15 seconds after he'd all would wants to, but realizes that there's pikes and ulans out in the field, sends in 7 Rodoleros as a kind of pivot card. Spanish players would love to get away with it for 5 settlers, but not this game. From Mitoe's point of view, though, I did see a crossbow shipment being sent, and crossbows are on the field. Mitoe is looking to somewhat be on the offensive here in age 2 and deny the train post, and probably wanting to deny the outpost, delaying any age 3 aggression from Kevin. Checking his deck, 3 settler wagons, first card into the crossbows. Very nice going for the tempo. Not going for the 700 wood early on. Crossbows here ready to pick up the Rodoleros. That's interesting. Crossbows, the 8 crossbows, 1 shot a Rodolero. So that's a nice power spike, or a nice round number for you to realise. Here come the dogs. And I think Kevin thought he'd been in an absolutely fine position here versus Pike Ulan by going dog Rodoleros. But actually the presence of the crossbows have put Mitoe in a fantastic position. And Kevin has to basically back out. Those dogs have gone down. Is Kevin aging? Yeah, he is aging. And maybe Kevin should have just waited for those dogs to upgrade to the Fortress Age, because they get so much more attack and HP. The upgrade from Age 2 to Age 3 is pretty ridiculous on the Spanish War Dogs. Tim is asking, is Mitoe staying Age 2? What the hell? And I'm like, yeah. Mitoe, top player, he's thought about this matchup in depth, and he realises he's going to hit a time in here where Kevin aging up. Kevin should be up in all honesty at this point, and he did have a slight stage up, maybe going for the market and transitioning, researching hunting dogs as well, instead of just going straight for the right, gather the food, gather the coin, click up, and then worry about the market on the 700 woods. Age up comes in, cross for Hussars. Rollo is still alive. I think he's going to try and focus on the crossbows, but the pikes are enough nearby to zone him out. Is Kevin going for dogs? He needs to be making some sort of dogs. He's got food for 2 dogs. Maybe 3 if he counts that second villager. But that's not happened. If he's not going to fight the dogs, probably needs to wait for the first shipment, which is 5 lances. But in the meantime, just keep the Hussar away. Keep it interested, but I don't think you want to lose the Huss. Really nice bit of small macro there, just picking off units one by one as a sieging. And yeah, Mitoe's really focused on that barracks. And meanwhile, Kevin's going to capitalise on that on some pickups with the Hussars. And baiting the infantry in a little bit further for the Lancers. But I think Mitoe's done enough. I think he's quite happy with how that's gone on. Let's go back to Mitoe's point of view. 700 coin coming in. Does have most of his units on food. You know, it doesn't mean one way or the other if he's staying Age 2 or not. But another batch of 5 pikes and multiple Ulans being trained does suggest some sort of staying Age 2. Out come Lancers, and once those pikes get cleaned and the Ulans go down, those crossbows are at risk. Doesn't complete that batch of Ulans though, because that coin wasn't in just in time. Has a lot of wood. I think he did go for that wood shipment, so trying to spend that wood was not the easiest thing for Mitoe. One way he could spend it. Second training post into Stagecoach. Maybe not Stagecoach, actually. 2 TP Stagecoach isn't the greatest. But yeah, Mitoe has... Oh, yeah, she is. I'm just magic. Call me magic. But Mitoe has all this potential in his stockpile to get these units out, but he's not quite getting the units out. I think it's okay, though, because he has enough... He's got a well-rounded competition, but the Spanish player can't just go in. He needs to wait for reinforcements, and Kevin is sending 9 Rodoleros. Minutemen as well being called, 1 skirmisher in queue, but this is going to be the time for him to try and make something. There's a possibility for the Cav to flank from a different angle to get the snare in. If the Lancers came in from the southern position, that would pin Mitoe basically station having to fight it, but because they've all come from the same direction, Mitoe can just kite back in one direction, and the crossbows are taking the time to pick off the rods one by one. I think Kevin should be able to clean this army, but after what's happened so far and the kind of destruction he's caused, picking up a couple of vills, Mitoe should be fine. With the Stagecoach play behind, and that Stagecoach has come in, so Kevin can either go for Mitoe's base or deal with the Stagecoach line, but that should give time for the age up to be completed here from Mitoe. First card, looking to be mercenaries from the German player with that coin macro incoming. No placer mines on his villagers, but I don't think that should be... That's his biggest of his worries at the moment. Yes, he is missing out on 2.4 villagers worth of coin income for the time being, but that could be sorted out with the stagecoach play. And I think, yeah, having his stagecoach on food just to get that villager production in once it comes in. He's actually getting his great coats as well, so Mitoe always getting his great coats, even when he's not necessarily being raided. Orlan's on the raid, top side, 2 villas definitely going down already. There's the third. We go for the fourth. A couple of villagers standing around. They will get in though, but nice raiding as well, just forcing the Rolleros back. And that means the siege presence on this trading post is even more reduced. Mitoe just actually coming back into the series so strongly. Black Riders is the opening shipment here for the German player. That's nice. I like that. So should be able to micro those units, and the thing with Black Riders, they are cavalry, but they also have the 40% melee resist, so Rolleros will only tickle those very strong Dragoon style units. We'll pick off any of these cavalry units. Minutemen on 1 HP anyway, and Kevin has been aggressive in this age. He hasn't been allowed to send Spanish gold. Wouldn't have the tempo to send 1k wood because he's got no trading post to then follow up the next shipments. So he's forced into shipments. He doesn't have the woods to upgrade his Rodelarios to veteran. I think the Black Riders should be enough to really take firm control of this fight. And here comes a full Ulan raid on 3 villagers with no great coats. Oh no, this is going to be a disaster from Kevin. I suppose, okay, 3 villagers isn't necessarily a full-on disaster, but he's pushing out on his base. He's, is it herding? Is it just the herds just naturally running away? It's whatever it is. It's just awkward in that sense. Picks off 2 vills, knows to not overstay his welcome, and retreats to the snowy cliffs, where some Marco Polo sheep are grazing on the top. Don't worry, this is intentional. This is just for beauty effects, and that one Marco Polo spawning on the middle of the side of the map. Out comes Black Riders. Minutemen going down here. One skirmisher from that early Rax pop won't be enough to take down a single Black Rider. Rider's going to come in, and they're going to have a rude awakening when the Black Riders still stand, and will just kite their way, fire and retreat. It should do well. But actually, Mitoe, he doesn't actually need to fight because he's sending Jaegers. I knew he was sending the second shipment. I wasn't expecting Jaegers there, maybe in like the 8 skirmishers, 3 Ulans. But Jaegers should end the game because, the Black Riders should end the game because he just cleaned up the entire Spanish army without losing a single unit because of how strong the Black Rider unit are. And Black Riders versus a non-skirm goon civ are incredibly strong, and that's why Mitoe went for them in this case. And Mitoe picking up the game there. So Mitoe winning the series 4-2. Let's get the GGs in the chat. Really, really was a good series. You got to hand it to Kevin though. Those first 2 games were just spot on. But Mitoe came back. He didn't lose his head. Just played some solid Age of Empires. Getting that victory on Korea was just nice China Age 2 play. Giving a little bit of the cheese with the CDB pull on Fraser River with Lakota. No logistician play here from Kevin. Who knows? Kevin, a logistician versus German Age 2 could win. But we did see the Spanish versus German matchup in another TakkCafe Series Cup, and it also didn't go too well for the Spanish player. So, yeah, in the end, I think the stronger player won overall, and we saw some really good unit control in this game from Mitoe. The raiding as well was on point, and just the pressure Kevin was under is just really well thought out. So, yeah, fair play for Mitoe for that one. Quick check of the post games. Does go for the 3 CDB to start off with. Kevin does age up 15 vil, train 3 vil to 18 vil, standard fast Fortress Age timings, but gets his Fortress Age in about 740. It's quite hard to tell, but it was a little bit on the slower side than normal Spain would expect. Yeah, at the end, this is the Black Rider shipment, and it just stays flat as Spanish army crumbles, and then the Jaegers will be up above my screen once that comes in as well. Bree's asking, can someone tell me what weakness Germany has? I don't think Germans have any crippling weaknesses, but I do feel that still H2 play it's not the strongest, but I think what's happened is that with the 100% crossbow accuracy, the extra 10 HP, not 10%, but just 10 HP on Doppelsonders, Ulan's being 190 HP. Yeah, Germans are a strong Civ, and they've placed very high on most players' Civ ratings, but I would say the Spanish are a stronger Civ. I have to say, I think in the matchup as well, Spain should be favoured in this matchup. Maybe the map for Spain play on a 2 TP map with the smallest trading route is not the strongest, but as matchups go, I think Spain take the upper hand. Just Mitoe, just being too good.